disease, death. They died. But then I became a ghost and I wandered the earth. And I found this guy. And he's pretty funny. Like, pulls his pants down, falls over, screams a lot. So like, I decided to possess him, because that's what ghosts do, and do a show. So that's cool. But before I start doing my show, I have what's called an opening act. And an opening act is a guy or a lady who does the same thing I do, but he does it different. So without any more to do, please welcome my opening act, Mr. Tom Achilles.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. I am the ghost of a comedian that was on Conan. You see me on Conan? Do you guys see me on Conan? You see me on Conan? You see me on Conan? Did you see me on Conan O'Brien? Did you see me on Conan O'Brien? Did you see me on Conan O'Brothers Brian's show? Did you see me on Conan's brother's show, Conan O'Brien? You see me on Brian? You see me on Brian? Have you seen Brian? Have you seen my brother Brian? My brother Brian has gone missing. Have you seen Brian? Have you seen Brian? Did you see Brian on Conan? Did you see Brian on? Did you see that they found my brother Brian on Conan? Did you see that they found my brother Brian on Conan? Did you see me watching them find my brother Brian on Conan? I saw all of you. I saw all you on Conan. I saw all you on Conan. Get a new magic act. That's not a good magic act for Conan. Get a new magic act for Conan. You see my residency on Conan? You see me every night on Conan. Okay? I put that on God. I put that on Conan. You saw me on Conan. You see my big fucking baby routine on Conan? You see me act like a big fucking baby on Conan? You see me go, wah wah, I'm a big fucking baby! You see me go, wah wah on Conan? You saw that? You saw that on Conan? Do you see Jimmy Fallon on Conan? Do you see Jimmy Fallon? Do you see how they introduced him on Conan? Do you see that? You saw that. He definitely saw that on Conan. He saw that, please welcome Conan O'Brien O'Fallon on Conan. Did you see that on Conan? You saw that on Conan. Come on down to the medieval times. Eat a turkey leg, watch some jousting, medieval times. While you're at it, come on down to the medical times. Perform a surgery, bite a pancreas, medical times. If you're still bored, come on down to the molecular times. Chemically bond, choke on a microscope, molecular times. Wow, you're still fucking bored? Then come on down to the medieval molecular times. Take part in King Arthur DNA sequencing. Vomit a lamb chop shaped like Jimmy Neutron. Medieval molecular times. Uh-oh, no plans tonight? Then come on down to the Andy Milonakis medical times. Observe a street bit gone wrong that ends you up in the ER while you slurp down some bone marrow pudding. Andy Milonakis medical times. If you don't have a hobby, then come on down to the magnetic Mormon Momofuku times. Discover gold plates with north-south polarity. Order the Joseph Smith Brussels sprouts with country ham, please. Magnetic Mormon Momofuku times. Seriously, get a life or come on down to the Michigonian melodramatic miracle worker times. Witness a wizard having an emotional breakdown. Sip a cold Faygo at the gathering of the Juggalos. Michigonian melodramatic miracle worker times. While you're contemplating that, why don't you come on down to the megalomaniacal mortician metropolitan times? Get lowered into a casket in Times Square where everything on the menu's about me. Megalomaniacal mortician metropolitan times. But Tom, what if I've been to all these and I'm still fucking bored? Then come on down to the medieval magnetic Momofuku metropolitan Michigonian mortician miracle worker times. Bring back to the Detroit Lions blacksmith shop from the dead. Chop down some cobalt noodles prepared by Tuscumbia's own Helen Keller. Medieval magnetic Momofuku metropolitan Michigonian mortician miracle worker time. And now for a positive Yelp review. I went down to the megalomaniacal mortician metropolitan times, and let me just say, I felt like all eyes were on me as I was getting lowered 6 feet deep at the intersection of 45th and 7th. My ego needed that kind of boost before I went back to JP Morgan on Monday. Overall, solid 10 out of 10. Perfect for your next company retreat. And now for a not-so-positive Yelp review. My whole budget department did a team outing at the megalomaniacal Mortician Metropolitan Times, and let me just say, I thought it was egregious that the casket wire snapped, killing procurement officer Tracy Ayala. And it didn't help that Instagram influencers circled a corpse chanting Black Rock down. Overall, 0 out of 10. And now for a not-so-Yelp review. Did everyone hear? Andy Milanakis is suing the megalomaniacal Mortician Metropolitan Times on the basis of intellectual property theft. In the case of Milanakis v. Megalomaniacal Mortician Metropolitan Times, plaintiff claims that lowering accountants into a Times Square sinkhole only to be photobombed by Gen Z influencers is indeed a concept he initially thought up. Milanakis calls David Blaine to the stand. Mr. Blaine, have you ever been to Times Square? Yes. And when you were in Times Square, were you frozen in ice? Yes. And when you were frozen in ice, was there somebody else also frozen in ice? Yes. Mr. Blaine, are you okay? I don't know. Please explain. Okay. The megalomaniacal Mortician Metropolitan Times used to freeze the entire investment management department of Credit Suisse in ice for 63 hours and 42 minutes, much like my special, David Blaine, Frozen in Time! So, with Mr. Milanakis' most recent claims, would you say that this company has a history of intellectual property theft? Yes! The state rests. And now for a not-so-positive verdict. Would you please all rise for the verdict? Could you all rise? Thank you. After very little deliberation, the jury finds the megalomaniacal Mortician Metropolitan Times guilty on all counts of emulating an Andy Milanakis original. Court orders Milanakis to film said street prank for entertainment purposes. This joke is adjourned. Now sit down! What else is new, you guys? How much time do I have, Clyde? 2 minutes? Perfect. Great. Let's change it up a little bit. First time I ever went to AA, I was paired with B.B. King, C.C. Worrell, D.D. Buckley, E.E. Cummings, F.F. Scott Fitzgerald, and G.G.L. That was my group. They were like, you should get a sponsor. How about H.H. Holmes? I was like, I thought that guy was dead. Can't I get a celebrity sponsor like J.J. Reddick, Keke Palmer, LL Cool J, or Eminem? and you know? There was a guy in AA named Can't be my AA sponsor? Anyway, I had to go pee-pee. Who do I run into in the AA bathroom? QQ Merengue, RR Schwartz, and the SS Bechamo. Yeah! A historic ship with a drinking problem. They were like, you should talk to Tiana Taylor. TT knows the program best. But like, you know when you're feeling very anxious? Like I was feeling VV anxious. So much so that I tapped into my Christian roots. I was like, WWJD, what would Jesus do right now? And I thought about it, and I was like, Jesus would relapse! So I started drinking again. Listening to the XX, my favorite band. And a lot of people are like, why would you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, but now I'm drinking buddies with ZZ Top. So it's pretty cool. I must say that I enjoy AA. Guys, I'm really excited for this show. Have you ever seen Clyde perform? Oh my god, what a freakazoid. I love this guy. I'm so excited to see him. That is my time. My name is Tommy Achilles. I hope you guys enjoyed my set. Give it up for the Ghost of Norman Town.
The guy was fucking weird. Yeah. So yeah, speaking of being alive, like life is kind of like the longest story you'll ever hear. It's like really slow at the beginning. You don't really understand anything, and then there's like a whole mess of characters, like way too many characters. It's like I don't even like having these characters. Like and it's kind of like there's not much direction, and then the story ends with a long, horrible, slow, diseased death. Man, good story. Good story. So I was in the office the other day. And yeah, I'm a famous dead comedian, but I work in an office too. Just roll it. And I was in the office. I want some coffee, right? So I go to the break room, and in the break room next to the coffee maker is this can that says non-dairy coffee creamer. And I'm like, non-dairy, I wonder what's in it. So I look at the ingredients, it's all like a bunch of chemicals and long words I can't pronounce. But at the end of the ingredients list, it says, contains milk. I don't know, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, I think something says non-dairy. The last thing you'd think would be milk. I mean, it's non-dairy could have anything. It had like pomegranates or like tiger's blood or like Salvador Dali's skin or something like that. The one thing it shouldn't have is milk. So I tested positive the other day, guys. But don't worry, it was just for AIDS. Yeah, see, that's an inappropriate joke. And the reason why it's so inappropriate is because it's so timely, so dated to this period. Because I was watching the news the other day, and they were talking about this brand new stuff that's only dated this period. They're like, Russia's up to no good, and there might be a baseball strike. Brand new stuff, never heard it before. Good to be back. So lately I've been watching a lot of, what's it called? Pornography. And the reason that I watch so much pornography is because I got a lot of like really pretty lady friends. I mean, they're like really pretty, like they're prettier than the lady in the Toyota commercials, And I'm matured, it's not really appropriate to like whack off all your pretty lady friends. It's kind of sad. So I just watch a lot of pornography. There's these ladies I don't know like touching on each other and saying stuff I like, But now I was like, I can take it a step further. So now I only watch gay pornography. It's just like two dudes like sucking and fucking on each other, and like whacking off to it and like cum, and then like I'm like, that guy just made me cum all over my kneecaps. But the great thing is, I'll never fall in love with him. Which made me think about it. I remember this a little while ago. Ellen Page became a man named Elliot Page. So I was kind of conflicted. I was like, man, I used to whack out to Ellen Page a lot. And now she's a man. But I was like, well, maybe it'd be okay if I watched her guy Ellen Page like in a gay porn, like fucking the dude. But then, no, that won't work because Ellen Page never fucked dudes in the first place. Yeah, I don't understand anything anymore. Oh yeah, speaking of gender, a lot of people like to say that gender is dead. There's no such thing as gender. It doesn't make a difference. But even if that's true, I still think there's one really big difference between men and women. And that difference is that women don't know who Spawn is. Which actually works in their favor, because if you're sitting around thinking about Spawn and like what he used to do, like that just slows you down. You go, girls, sometimes I wish I was a lesbian. And the reason I wish I was a lesbian is so I could be one of those old lady roller derbies. Like those old lady roller derbies and the roller skates and they beat each other up. And the reason I want to be in an all ladies roller derby is so I can have the nickname Leslie Ann Warhead. I think that's the most clever thing I'll ever come up with. I'm just glad everyone in here knows who Leslie Ann Warren is. I was worried. Speaking of celebrities, remember like 10 or 12 years ago when John Travolta's son died? And what did John Travolta do? He didn't mourn his loss. He didn't accept his fate. What he did was him and his wife had another kid and said, oh, this is our son brought back to life. We just made him again. Yeah, that kid's going to grow up to be, what do you call a serial killer. They'll be like, hey, John Travolta's son, how come you kill all those people? Like, no, it's all right. Because what you can do is you can stalk a lady in the night, snap her neck, push her down a very large flight of stairs, and then bury her in your backyard. But it's okay, because her parents could just like have sex and just start her all over again. So I'm what you call technophobic. And that doesn't mean that I hate gay people, that means that I hate computers. But I think I'm getting better because I was leaving the laundromat the other day, even though I'm a famous dead comedian, I still go to the laundromat. And on my way out, I saw this large wooden cabinet that had like a screen and buttons on it, and on the top it said burger time. And so I stood there, I was like, hey, wait, what is this? You be the chef, and you climb up these giant fucking ladders, and you sit on cheeseburgers and make them fall down on the ground, all the while you have to throw salt on a giant fried egg's face. I played that thing for fucking hours, man. That's great. So I'm getting over my technophobia. So I was at a Japanese place the other day, and I was eating sushi, right? And I was sitting there, and at the other end of the room was a family, like a mom, a dad, and a little kid. And the parents were encouraging the kid to eat sushi and like it stuff. And it took me a second, I was like, wait a minute, something doesn't seem right about that. And then I remembered, like, when I was a kid, your parents didn't even fucking know what sushi was. Like, you'd hear about it, like, on TV or in a movie. You'd say, hey, Dad, what's sushi? You'd be like, I don't fucking know, it's like Chinese or something. And you go to your mom, like, hey, Mom, what's sushi? She'd be like, oh, no, that's fish, and they don't cook it. It's like Chinese or something. We don't eat that, no. So then you wait like 7 or 8 years, and then you go out by yourself and find some place and eat sushi, and it's fucking delicious. And you realize the most innocent way to rebel against your parents is to eat sushi. But now I'm thinking, well, what do the kids of this generation eat to rebel against their parents? Like a fucking Dairy Queen Blizzard or something like that? Pretty good. So I was walking down the street the other day, and this lady with a clipboard jumps out at me and says, hey, are you pro-life? And I said, yeah, I love being alive. It's great, yeah. And she said, oh, sign this. So I signed it, And then after that, I hung out with my buddy Doug, and I was telling my buddy Doug, yeah, this lady just made me sign this thing because I'm pro-life. He said, pro-life, that's the opposite of pro-choice. And I said, well, I like choosing stuff too. I don't see why being alive and choosing things can go hand in hand. He said, no. Pro-choice means you're for abortion, and pro-life means you're anti-abortion. You just signed some sort of anti-abortion document. And I said, the dirty dogs. I don't know if you guys know this, but America is not the greatest country in the world, It's pretty good, but it's not the greatest, because, I used to think that America was all about, like, cheeseburgers and hot rods and guitar solos and big-titted blonde women, things that anyone could enjoy if they so chose. But I was talking to this guy, he was like this white guy, and he said, no, this is a very immature view of America. America is about things like the economy. And I said, the economy, you mean like money? He's like, yeah, like money. Like every American's dream should be to have so much money that it makes the money in all the other countries worthless, and you can boss them around. And I said, that doesn't sound fun. That sounds kind of rude. And he said, yeah, you know what else America is about? And I said, what? He said, burning crosses. I was like, burning crosses? Why? He said, no, it's great. So what you do is, what you do is you find somebody you don't like because they're different than you. Like it'd be like a guy with a mustache. So you hate him because he has a mustache and you don't. And then what you do is, in the night, you take two pieces of wood, you nail them together in the shape of a cross, you put it in his front lawn, and you light it on fire to let him know how much you hate him. And I said, that doesn't sound nice at all. I don't really like that. He said, hey, come on, you gotta hate somebody. I was like, no, I don't really hate anybody. I mean, I don't really like my dad. And then he got really pissed off. He said, you don't like your dad? Your dad gives you all the tools and information to live your life. Your dad is the end-all, be-all authority on everything. Your dad is like God. And I said, my dad's not like God. If anything, my dad's kind of like the guy from the Ernest movies. And they just stormed off. And speaking of blatant racism, I used to do this bit in my act where I talked about buying a really, really small Superman t-shirt from a guy on a stand in St. Mark's. He was like Chinese or something, and he made this comment about how sexy I look in this really small Superman shirt. So we used to, talk about that. We talked about, he said I was real sexy, but used like his accent and stuff. And after that show, somebody came up and he said, hey, I mean, that's a little inappropriate, like using that cartoonish character kind of voice, for somebody's accent. Like, how would you feel if someone did an impression of you and it was all like exaggerated and fake like that? So I was like, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe I shouldn't do that. But then I thought about it, and I went on that thing, what's it called, the internet? And I looked up, Chinese comedian does impression of a white person. And I watched it, and you know what? It's fucking hilarious. There's a guy like in a suit just like this in front of a brick wall just like this, and he was he did an impression of a white person. He was like, I will have all the money in the world and you will be underneath me. And if we are in a competition, I will win. And if I don't, I will use my money to make it look like I win. Whoa. And I was like, yeah, that sounds just like that. After I watched the video, there was a comment, the comment section, I looked at the comments, and the first comment was, you'll never believe it, it was that white guy. And he said, hey, this is offensive. Give me your address so I can stick a burning cross in your arm. But here's the funny thing. That Chinese comedian, he lives in Hong Kong. It's a big city. He lives in an apartment building. So he doesn't have a front lawn. So I guess the joke's on that white guy, So you ever like at a bar or on the subway or something, and you see a guy try to get with a lady, and he's all like, but I'm a nice guy. That really means I'm a sad, desperate guy. Because I don't really think there are that many nice people left in the world. But this is the only way you can tell if somebody's nice is if they walk outside and they put their arms out like this, and the birds land on them. They're fucking Snow White or something. I tried that once. I went outside, and just put my arms out, and a bird flew right by me and looked back and said, man, that guy looks like a total asshole. He's not a nice guy. Not a nice guy. I used to really love to go and watch strippers. I go to the bar, get myself like 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 drinks, just sit back and watch the ladies come out, take their clothes off and dance, and I'd be like, man, I really want to fuck that lady without a condom. But you know what takes all the fun out of watching strippers is fucking one without a condom. I'm talking about for like 3 months straight, banging away, just riding that razor's edge. Am I going to become a parent? Am I gonna get like a gaggle of STDs? After that high, after that rush, you're just like, strippers are fucking bored. I just wish I had a wife and kids, man. I just wish I had a wife and kids. I had a wife and kids. And now back to The Color Purple starring Jennifer Garner. I met one of my old friends I hadn't seen in a couple of years, and she had what's called a pixie haircut. And I said, "Oh man, what happened to your hair?" And she was all like, "What does that intimidate you? Do you not like a strong, independent woman living her own life, making her own decisions?" I was like, "No, nothing like that. I just think your haircut's really fucking ugly." And you look better like a mullet. You look better like a cat died on your head. Not good haircut. So I was watching this weird movie on TV the other day. It was called K-Pax. And the plot of the movie is that Jeff Bridges meets Kevin Spacey, and Kevin Spacey claims to be an alien from outer space. But what's weird about the movie is the ending's kind of open-ended. You know, like Jeff Bridges finally figures it out. He says, "Hey, Kevin Spacey, it doesn't matter whether you are or are not an alien from outer space, because either way, you still fuck children." So I have what's called anxiety. And because I have anxiety, thank you, nervous wreck over here. Because I have anxiety, I'm prone to having what are called panic attacks. And but I'm getting better. I'm learning how to deal with my panic attacks. So what I do is I take a second and be like, okay, I'm about to have a panic attack. And I go outside and I find a really nice tree, and then I puke all over. I'm talking about Chuck. Good guy, Upchuck, good guy. So last time there I had a panic attack. I was eating curry. And then the gears started turning, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm about to have a panic attack. So I paid my bill, got up, went outside, and found myself a nice oak tree, and I just puked all over it, man. I'm talking about, I went to town on this thing. I was tossing my cookies left and right. I don't know if you know this. If you puke right after eating curry, it burns like the Dickens. So my throat is on fire, it's coming out of my nose is burning because of that, my eyes are squinting, so I'm puking, tossing my cookies up and chucking, can't see, and then I'm finally done after like 12, 15 minutes, just this, and it's like, I'm done, like, oh, I've never felt relief like this ever, like, I just feel really good. That's a great way to deal with a panic attack. And then as I'm standing there, I look across the street, I see all my favorite bars over there, so yeah, I'll have a drink and I'll kind of come down. But it wasn't until I walked through the doorway of the bar that I realized, oh yeah, my face is covered in bright orange vomit. But this is a testament to confidence, guys. A testament to confidence. Like, even though my face was covered in bright orange vomit, the first thing the bartender said when she saw me was, "You look like you could use a drink." Testament to confidence. So, speaking of severe alcoholism, I was at a bar the other night, like hanging out, had about 21, 25, 38 drinks, And 1 o'clock in the morning rolls around, I've decided I'm done, so I get up, and as I'm stumbling to the door to leave, a really hot goth chick just starts making out with me. So I'm like, bonus points. But then, while we're making out, these two hands separate us, and you'll never guess who it was that separated us. It was Dracula. It was fucking Dracula. And he says, "My sister's a total slut. She does this kind of thing all the time." And I said, "Sorry to hear that your sister's a slut, Mr. Dracula, but I'm busy making out with this hot lady." And he says, "No, this is my sister." I was like, "Oh, well, sorry again, Mr. Dracula, but when a hot lady starts making out with me, I just kind of go with the flow." And he said, "Hey, I like the cut of your jib." So he sat me down and bought me a drink. And then he went to the bathroom. His sister started making out with me again. He came back, broke us up, bought me another drink. Then he went out to have a cigarette. His sister started making out with me again. He came back, broke us up, and bought me another drink. And then, we closed the bar. And they had to go home, I guess, because the sun was coming up. But then I went home. I was like, man, I just had one of the greatest nights of my life with Dracula. Because, I'm an old man now, I gave up my dreams of ever meeting Dracula a long time ago. Much less making out with his sister. I didn't even know he had a sister. I'm sorry, I know some of you were expecting me to make a joke about a Fitbit, but I don't fucking know what a Fitbit is. Sorry, technically burger time, maybe. Thank you for coming, that's it. Have a good night.